So today we've designed a workshop for the 12 students.
So taking some strategies that we hope that they'll be able to identify with. What would you say if you were the teenager in that scenario? Chart those and then use them to role play the scenarios themselves. So I'm going to read a series of prompts to you. And depending on how you interpret that prompt, you're going to place yourself somewhere along this spectrum. So we have agree, we have disagree, and in the middle, uncertain. I feel like I can check people in this group when they say things I do not feel comfortable with. I feel like I can check people in this group when they say things I do not feel comfortable with. Yeah.
I don't know.
I disagree because I feel like because I know them more now, it would make it more harder for me to like tell them something because I don't want to like make people think like, oh, like I don't like you or like have them not like me. So instead, I just avoid the whole situation.
If you're friends with somebody or if you want to help somebody, well, by not talking to them, you're not helping them at all, and you're not making them a better person. And other people are going to have negative thoughts about them, and you wouldn't want, if that was a true friend, you wouldn't want other people to have negative thoughts about them.
I mean, I think that at this point, you know, we've sort of had an understanding amongst this group, I guess, that, you know, if we really do want to see, you know, this change that we've been talking about, you know, we do need to start with really checking each other.
So this idea of friendship is getting dirty a little bit and sort of like getting into that discomfort because on the outside, your friendship might just be stronger. I think it is my job to interrupt racism when I see it. I think it is my job to interrupt racism when I see it. Go ahead. Audney, why'd you move over?
If we're the next generation to be in charge, then it is our duty to, if we see something we don't like or we see something that we know is not right, to fix it or say something about it and step in and make it better so that when it's our turn and when our kids have to be in the world, they have it better than we did.
Fellas on the disagree side.
When I hear you say it's my job to interrupt racism that I see, you make it seem like it's an obligation where you have to step into every racist thing that happens. I don't think it's an obligation, I think it's a choice.
It's like, it drives you crazy trying to like find like every angle to try to like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. And I feel like it should be my personal job to like step in every time I see something like, I'm not gonna live my whole life like just trying to stop every single thing.
And just being a person of color, you run into a lot of racist things. So it's just like if you try to stop every racist thing that you see, you're gonna wear yourself out and you're not gonna be able to do anything else.
The reason that I'm uncertain is because if we're talking about like the systemic stuff, maybe it's not necessarily like my job to help fix it, but I feel like it's something that we can strive for.
And so here are the parameters. This is a person that you haven't seen since you were, we'll just say 10 years old. So the first person's going to start off and they're going to say, do you remember that time we ... And then the next person's going to say,
Yes, and.
yes, and then they're going to add a little bit more.
Remember that time when we were in the ocean?
Yeah, and then that
Yeah, and a shark came and like we were really scared.
I went outside and
then they put us into the car. Yeah, and then it like bit your foot off.
Yes, and we ate crickets.
Yes, and
They enjoyed it so much.
Yes, and we were the saviors of the day.
Are these conversations similar or different to conversations that you have in your everyday life?
Different.
Different? How so?
Because not everyone agrees with what you're saying. Like in this game, you're always accepting what the other person says and adding on to it. But when you have conversations in real life, especially about race, like there's usually someone countering what you say and questioning it or critiquing it or.
What does it feel like to know that whatever you say, the person's going to say yes and to that?
It's like you say anything, like you can say whatever you need to say because you're not gonna be shot down for saying it. So yeah, say it and have no worries about being like ridiculed for it.
What we want to really create in this space today is to say, how can we yes and where people are at? How can we say, this is your experience, yes, and here's my experience, and find new ways to enter into those conversations together. Each group is going to get a packet of scenarios. When you get the scenarios, you can generally start thinking, what would I do?
I am one of the only black males in the 11th grade at my school. Last month in biology class, we had the option of doing an extra credit assignment for a project. 2 of my white classmates chose to write a rap about cellular respiration. For the presentation, they put on basketball jerseys, do-rags, and gold chains, and sagged their pants. During the rap, they tried to get me to come up to the front, saying they needed street cred. I played it off, but it annoyed me. After the presentation, my teacher looks at me and asked, how'd they do?
I am a white female in the 12th grade. I was trying to explain to my parents what white privilege is, and they kept saying that they have had a hard life and have not had anything handed to them. My mom said to me, I feel like we're being punished for doing all right for ourselves because of our race.
I am a Korean American female in the 11th grade. I was recently in a class where the topic of race came up. At one point, a white classmate student said, "Too bad there are no students of color in this class." There was another student who identifies as Latina, but is light-skinned and has class privilege and is often labeled white. We both looked at each other and didn't know what to do.
I would just assume that kids of your color would be interested in the kind of thing that your people show on TV. Wouldn't that be true?
Yes, I understand that the media does portray those things.
I don't know rap music well. I thought that you guys would know it.
Now we know as much as you do about rap.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
You were able to get that job. You know, who was the guy that ran that?
That was Marty.
Well, you're like basically the only like rapper here.
But they're rapping and they're not black. I mean, I know it's...
Yeah, not representing you, we're representing your people.
So like how many of us have been sitting there like, I know this is wrong and I actually even know what to say, but I can't say it in that moment. We're gonna say, look through what we could do, and then we're gonna actually practice them, because one of the biggest ways that we see racism go unchecked is just, you know, when you're in that moment and then you just kind of wanna deflect to something else. Be like, oh, okay, well, but in the end we're all the same. And you're like, okay, that's a beautiful vision to have, but right now we actually do need to go back and address, like, what were the individual hurts? What didn't feel right for us? And what we need to do is also take a breath and get more information. What do you mean by that? You know, so it's not like I don't have to defend it. I'm just actually asking you to defend what you said.
So I'll be the teacher?
Yeah.
How'd they do?
Oh, why would you ask us that?
What do you mean?
Why are you directing that question to us?
Well, I mean, you all are offering the street cred. Go ahead. How'd they do?
Street cred? What do you mean by street cred?
Street credentials. Well, you're making it sound as though I have white privilege, and I don't. I have worked so hard, and I deserve everything, and that's not because I'm white. That's because I work hard.
We're not saying that you don't deserve anything or you're being punished. We're just saying that you benefit from things that white privilege gives to white people.
Why do we have street cred?
Yeah. Because, you know, you guys like the hip hop. Go ahead. Tell them how they did.
Why do you think we like hip hop music?
What? Because you know. You know.
Why?
No, we don't know.
What do I know?
Can you explain to us,
Well,
please?
because you're black. Too bad there are no people of color in this class.
Well, what do you mean by that?
I mean that there are no people of color in this class.
You know, I think it is also important for you to realize that, you know, you might have had some benefits that other people of color didn't have just because, you know, you are white.
What do you define as people of color?
You know, black people, maybe like Hispanics.
Well, I'm Hispanic.
You are? You don't look Hispanic.
Well, is there really a look to Hispanic?
Do you like country music?
What? Actually, no.
Well, then why would we have to like rap music?
Well, it's in your blood.
Well, country music is predominantly white.
Privilege,
you're
it's not
talking
really a privilege per
Sounds
se.
like it.
But no, it's not that you were given things that other people weren't. It's that doors were open for you that for other people they were closed. For people of color in particular, these doors were closed.
I'm really impressed by this group And we talked about this a little bit in this group as well, about what would it look like too for you to support each other in having these conversations. Because like we said, it's not rocket science, but it's really still hard to do. If it was easy to do, we would have solved racism by now, right?
So as you move forward, don't forget about the people that you've had this experience with and how they might be able to help you in the future.